We are joined in by Karthikeya from the newsroom. Karthikeya, this becomes a big encounter that we are looking at because it has a lot of ramifications. If it turns out that these people have been identified with the Pahalgam attack, it becomes a huge boost for the government, and at the same time, the fact that they have been tracked down, the very perpetrators have been tracked down and eliminated.
You see, right now there is no official confirmation, but let me tell you that the sources are saying that these are three high-value terrorists. It is suspected they are foreign terrorists. The news that is coming out is they could be somehow associated with the Pahalgam. But the official confirmation has not come. But nonetheless, the security forces are saying that this is a big operation, which is in the area of Harwan, near Dachigam National Park, which is near Srinagar. Now, Army's Chinar Corps has confirmed the development, saying Operation Mahadev contact established in general area Lidwas. The operation is in progress. So these are high-value terrorists. So right now we'll also wait for them, because if, and let me put it this way, if they are associated with the Pahalgam killing, it will be a big success for the government. And even if there are three foreign terrorists, then it's a high-value operation that the government has been able to do. And it is part and parcel of the program of the government to actually comb out the areas which are vulnerable for terror action. And let me put it this way, that it takes an hour to go to Dachigam, and Dachigam used to be an open spot. So now Dachigam is not an open spot. Dachigam is a forested area. It's a wildlife sanctuary. So you would not find this movement unexpected.
In fact, Karthikeya, we are joined in by Ravinder Raina from the BJP. Ravinder Raina, how do you in fact see this encounter that is going, which could have a lot of ramification when it comes to the BJP, especially as the debate goes in the parliament over Operation Sindoor and with regard to questions being raised to the government, especially when it comes to those terrorists who are behind the Pahalgam or could be. Now, this sources are saying that they could be. It's not yet confirmed, but three high-value terrorists have been, trapped by our forces, and encounter is still going on.
Our brave hearts, the brave hearts of Indian Army and Jammu Kashmir Police have carried out an successful Mahadev operation in Kashmir Valley and neutralized the three terrorists as per the reports coming out of that anti-terror operation. This is a big achievement as far as anti-terror operation is concerned, and even the reports are there that these terrorists may have the links, may be having the involvement in Pahalgam terror attack. All are believed to be the Pakistani terrorists. Anyhow, this is a great success achieved by our forces. Hats off to Indian Army and Jammu Kashmir Police.
How do you in fact see these operations when it pans out, when by the government's efforts to ensure that there is a peaceful Jammu and Kashmir, there is a terrorism-free Jammu and Kashmir, but the fact remains is that these foreign terrorists are now a phenomenon, that they have been pushed quite often by Pakistan. So how do you see the government going for the next step, that is to ensure that these foreign terrorists are not pushed into Jammu and Kashmir to destroy the rather peace that has been there in the state?
Earlier in 1990s and 2000 onwards, there were local involvements and local recruitments was made by the terror outfits. But now, for last at around 10 years, we have witnessed that there is drastic downfall in the recruitment in terror outfits as far as from the local Kashmiri youth is concerned, and attempts being made by the Pakistani ISI and Pakistani terror outfits to send the foreign terrorists into the Jammu and Kashmir. But whosoever come, infiltrate and enter into Indian territory and pose threat to our territorial integrity and sovereignty, she will not be spared at any cost. And Operation Mahadev, that is still going on, and reports are coming that foreign terrorists have been neutralized. Everyone who sneaks into Indian territory and try to pose threat to our territorial integrity will meet the same fate as Army carried out Operation till the morning.
Well, Ravinder Raina, what do you think is Pakistan's concern? Is it that Jammu and Kashmir is now slowly being integrated into the larger economy of India? The state's economy is slowly picking up. Its strengths are now being, brought to light and also enhanced by the lot of infrastructure projects that have been put in the state and also been inaugurated. The accessibility of Jammu and Kashmir to the rest of India is also becoming a very thought-provoked network, and that has resulted in economic activity. And people are not interested anymore in something like holding the AK rifle for Pakistan. So is that what driving this kind of an attack, saying that let's target what economically keeps the Union Territory going?
Absolutely, you're right that now there is a large-scale developmental work been going on in Jammu and Kashmir, large-scale connectivity, especially the rural roads in the higher ridges of the mountains, and even the world has witnessed that how train connecting to Kashmir recently was inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister Modi Sahab, and national highways, and people are being given all facilities. And people are now realizing the fact of the matter that India is doing the best for the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and the Pakistan is the only country that brought the sorrows, pain, sufferings to the people in Kashmir. And this is the reason the people, when came to know the realities, they have shunned the violence. There is no support base to Pakistani terrorist outfits and Pakistani organization in Kashmir. People are joining the mainstream. Recently, last year, when elections held for the assembly in Jammu and Kashmir, 80% of the turnout have been witnessed, and this was the record beat participation of the Kashmiris in the democratic process, and all this has resulted in frustration among the Pakistani groups, and that's why.
Right, Ravinder Raina, thank you for in fact speaking to News9. Kartikeya is in fact from the newsroom. Kartikeya, you've been explaining about the terrain, how the terrain looks like. It is a wildlife area as well, and also heavily forested, of course, a mountainous region. Could you tell more about it?
Absolutely. Dachigam is a very forested area. You were playing the map, Verghese. Lidwas and Mount Mahadev. See, you see, if you play the graphic, Mount Mahadev is the ridge. The other ridge is known as Lidwas. It is there the operation is taking place. The news which has been put in by our correspondent is that the army, CRPF and Jammu and Kashmir Police, they are involved in this operation, and then they have deployed drones. Right now, drones have identified 3 bodies. 3 bodies have been identified. So they are trying to identify, they are trying to do the facial recognition. It's very difficult to do it in a live wire way. So, this is the real time, I would say, the facial recognition that is being conducted there. The information that has come in is that 3 terrorists have been neutralized. Operation continues, but the terrorists have been neutralized. Their 3 bodies have been found. The Chinar Corps of the Indian Army has broken that they have killed 3 terrorists. 3 terrorists have been neutralized in the intensive operation. So now we know these high-value terrorists are dead. And the drone has been able to locate the body. That's number 2. Third, they are high-profile terrorists. That's number 3. The number 4 issue is that their identity needs to be established. There is a possibility, and I'm not saying that this has been confirmed, but there is a possibility, there is a chatter that one of them could have been linked with that dastardly Pahalgam terror attack. So the terrorists have been neutralized. This was taking place between Lidwas and Mount Mahadev, and important issue is that the identification is going to take place soon. Indian Army, Central Paramilitary Forces and Jammu and Kashmir Police, they were all involved in this operation. This operation started at 11 a.m. It's not even 2. In 2.5 hours, they were able to gun down 3 terrorists. Now, That's the fact of the matter. Now, since you asked me about the Dachigam area, we have to understand that the terrorists have been trying to redefine their activities in Jammu and Kashmir. You see, in the wake of what had happened when we had to redeploy our forces on the Chinese sector, there was a huge spate of violence that took place in Jammu. And it was because there was a redeployment, not because our forces were thin, but you know, when you move the forces, the terrorists also understand that there are some gaps not in terms of opening, but gaps in terms of area domination exercise, or gap in terms of the force movement, and they use those timings to infiltrate. So in J&K, the Jammu terror graph had gone up. But what Pahalgam was, it was a pinpointed operation against Indian state. And Indian response was through Operation Sindoor, which continues. But the larger issue that remained open-ended was, what happened to those terrorists? Were they able to make their way back to Pakistan? Were they as alleged by Chidambaram, what was their identity? There were a lot of questions in the air. But the fact of the matter was that this was a pinpointed attack on the Indian state. The message was to the Prime Minister, because one of the terrorists had told the survivor, the wife, that you go and say this to the Prime Minister. And that is why the operation was named as Operation Sindoor, very categorically. So now with this operation in place, which continues right now as per the tweet of Chinar Corps, let me take you through it again, because I'll put it verbatim. Chinar Corps, Indian Army, 3 terrorists have been neutralized in an intense firefight. Operation continues. So it's a great success on part of the Indian Army. Good job done. They have been able to, target these terrorists. But now what we await is an official statement on the identity of these terrorists. That is number one. The second is, was any one of them attached, associated, or participate in the Pahalgam attack? These are the 2 things. And right now the biggest story of the day, Verghese, is whether we are going to have a debate in Parliament or not. Because if we don't have a debate in Parliament, it's going to be such a waste. Because entire time opposition had been raising the issue that we should have a debate in Parliament on Operation Sindoor, and now they want to discuss SIR. So that's another thing. But it's a fabulous feat on part of the Indian Army. 11 AM they started. Within 2.5 hours, they have been able to gun down. There is no report of the casualty on the Indian side, which is very, very important. If you look at the casualties, often the casualties are high on both the sides. So it's an example of a perfectly coordinated operation that has been done by the security forces. Now the second thing is, how are they going to establish the facial recognition, the classified information, association? There are a number of ways in which the Indian intelligence will be able to identify these terrorists. That's one. And secondly, we have to understand that it's also become slightly complicated with the turmoil which is there in the Afghanistan. There is a lot of movement of terrorists which is being utilized by ISI, because Taliban itself is a fractured government. You have a Tehreek-e-Taliban in Pakistan, you have ISIS Khorasan, you have number of those breakaway factions which are on the payment of ISI, and ISI takes a position which is very different from the Pakistani political establishment, which in itself I would say is just a PR department of the Pakistani army. And Munir is an Islamist, he is a jihadi general. So India should be ready and always be prepared for any such attack, because though he has elevated himself as a field marshal by arm twisting the Pakistani Prime Minister, but the intention of the Pakistani army and ISI are not going to change. We will never be able to change the character of the Pakistani army, which position itself as, which is anti-India, but in garb of the interest of the Pakistani society. It is an anti-India position which they have it from inception.